What's up everyone? David here, obviously. Don't worry. I'll talk to him. He listens to me.
Hey guys, it's Nicole.
I hope you're all feeling good and you're looking forward to getting something for free today. You're getting something for free today, and what you're getting for free is the program I've been following for the last year. I'm going to give it to you with all the sets, reps, and my recommendations. I recently changed up my program, the main change being that I changed my split from a 3-day split to a 5-day split. I'm a big believer in not using all your tools at once, and I always knew I could always add in more training days to my program. I always knew I had that in my back pocket if I felt things were going stale this year. But training this year has been anything but stale. Training has gone fantastic. I've seen a lot of improvements with my physique and my strength, and I'm going to share it all here with you today. So feel free to give this program a try, or just take bits you like and add it into your routine. So the pros of this workout: if you're a busy individual, this should not be hectic for you to try and follow, because it's a 3-day program. That is not too much to ask of anyone. In terms of the layout of the program, it is a upper, lower split. I'll explain why it's upper, lower. You can chop and change that any way you want, but that's the way I followed it. I trained upper Wednesday, upper Saturday, and lower/arms on the Sunday. And I will get into and explain why. The muscles I felt it brought up for me were my upper back muscles, upper to mid back, my shoulders, my arms, my glutes, and my quads. So if you want to look like a silverback, this program might be for you. Now, following this program, that has been my experience. We're built different, we're at different stages of our training, and there are a ton of other factors that are going to come into play as to why you and I will have a different experience following this program.
So let's go.
Upper one, we're starting with a bench press, and I want you to grip the bar slightly wider than usual. Also, we're going to tackle this bench press with a slightly lower rep range compared to the next day, so we can improve our strength, lift a little bit heavier. In saying that, for your first month of benching, do not worry about going too heavy. You need to practice the movement and get better at the movement itself, performing the movement. So we want to brush up on our technique. So I did a video, 19-minute video, going in depth on the bench press technique. Be sure to check that out if you are following this program, because we're going to be benching twice a week. Another pro of this program is I really brought up my bench press. If you're following my videos, you would know that I increased my bench press from 150 kilos to 170 kilos in terms of my 1-rep max. So that's another big pro of this program if you care about benching. If you don't want to bench press twice a week, I understand. That was a new concept to me. I didn't exactly enjoy doing that, but I wanted to bring up my bench press, so it was the price I was willing to pay. Just switch it up with another pressing variation. Machine press, dumbbell press, dips, or a variation of a barbell press. You could just do an incline barbell press. That's a really fantastic exercise as well. So after the bench press, we're going with pull-ups with a pronated grip. So pronated grip is this grip. This would be neutral, and this would be supinated. So pronated, this is going to bias our upper to mid back muscles a little bit more. Like I said, I've really brought up my upper back this year. Pull-ups would be a massive part of that. I understand that everyone can do pull-ups. So if you can't do pull-ups, if you struggle, you can either use a band for assistance. If you have a training partner, use your training partner to help you. And you can communicate with each other as to how much help you want to give them. I think a training partner is brilliant if you're cool with it. Some people's ego gets in the way, but if you're cool with it, you can gauge how much help you give to your partner throughout the set. So at the start, you're fresh, you can give less and less help, but as the set progresses, you can give a little bit more help to extend the set and hit whatever rep range you're going for. Or you could simply do another variation of a vertical pull, which would simply be a lat pull down with a straight bar. But if you can do pull-ups, I highly suggest you do your pull-ups and you look to progress that by Increasing your reps, yes, but also by increasing weight. Weighted pull-ups, they will change your back. Give it a year and you will see a lot of progress within your back muscles. Next, we're on to the dumbbell shoulder press. I've had a lot of success with this year. I took this lift to somewhere it has never been before. This is probably one of the lifts that's really improved me this year. And it's not like, I've really improved my Zercher squat, I've really improved my bench press, I've improved a lot of lifts, but the shoulder press, the dumbbell shoulder press, I've kind of exceeded my expectations with this one because I've gotten to a stage where I'm pressing 50 kilo dumbbells. I never thought in my life that that's something I would do. I didn't think that was possible for a natural lifter to do. Now that's mainly down to my own ignorance. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there pressing 50 kilo dumbbells, but it's not all too common to see outside of social media. It's funny, I really feel like this exercise alone has brought up my delts because I can really see it in the front of my delts. They have really come on, and I've seen a trainer speak about this exercise before, saying he used to always have these tiny delts, and it's because he tried to pick the heaviest weights possible. And it wasn't until he started doing cable lateral raises, this is the shit you hear all the time, that his delts started to grow. Now, cable lateral raises are a great exercise, but just because that was his experience doesn't mean that's going to be everybody else's experience. So I would never say that to someone. It's hilarious because the dumbbell shoulder press, I know for a fact, has brought on my shoulders, but that's not to say it will work for you. So it may or may not. What I will say about that trainer though, looking at his technique, it was fairly shit. The reps were from here to here, these type of reps, as opposed to coming right down. You want to come right down with the shoulder press. And with the elbow, you probably can't notice it here, but my elbows are slightly tucked as opposed to back there. Why I'm doing that is because this puts the shoulder in a slightly safer position. And if you want to progress these movements, which you absolutely should, and you want to lift heavier, then you want to be safe, especially when shoulder pressing. With the shoulder press, if it starts getting to a stage where you're lifting heavier than normal, which I would like you to get there, this was the only exercise where it was the second set that I would perform my heaviest load, which is counterintuitive. Usually it's the first set of any exercise that you're probably going to perform your heaviest weight, but I felt like I wasn't ready doing the traditional way and normal way I do my warm-up sets. I felt like that wasn't enough to put me in a spot to, let's say, press 50s over my head and feel comfortable. So I would, let's say, perform 45 for my first working set, but I would leave 2 reps in the tank. So definitely 2-3 reps in the tank, might do 6 or 7 reps, leave it there. Yes, I could have done more, but I'm thinking of the next set. And then when I come back to it, second set, I throw up the 50s, and now I feel like it's ready to go. I feel like a working set was almost like a better way to warm up and prepare my shoulders for pressing 50s over my head. That's a bit unorthodox, but that's the way it worked out for me. So really plant your feet to the ground, chest up, and like I said, tuck those elbows, come down for that full stretch. Let's not shoulder press like that trainer was doing, and then complain about the exercise, and then projecting onto his audience. After the dumbbell shoulder press, we're on to our chest supported row or chest supported T-bar row. Basically anything that's supporting your chest, and you can do a row variation. If you don't have a machine available to you to do this, then opt for either a barbell or dumbbells. Dumbbells is probably the easiest setup, but fortunately for me, we have this lovely machine that I have been really enjoying this past year. It's still in my new program, it's not going to leave, and like I said, my upper back muscles have really come on, and that's from stretching the shoulder blades, giving them a full stretch and pulling them right back and squeezing them together. And this exercise allows you to do that so well. This machine allows you to do that so well. So if you have a machine like this, you're really gonna build up the thickness of your upper back because you're targeting that mid-back shoulder blade area. And it just feels so good. The pump off it is really nice. This exercise has been a no-brainer for me this year. You can of course do this exercise and you can do it with a neutral grip, but like I said, I was doing this exercise, I find you get your most bang for your buck doing it with a pronated grip with a flared elbow to target the upper back. But if you want to bias your lats a little bit more, then you can just go with a more neutral grip, tuck the elbows, and that's going to hit pretty much all your back muscles, but it's going to bias the lats a little bit more because it is hard to isolate an area. We can try our best and we can bias it, but we're never truly going to isolate any one area. They're the main movements of the session. We're on to our accessories, so to say. And the next exercise is one of my all-time favorites. It is the standing dumbbell lateral raise, a movement that's received a lot of flack from people this year because this year what's been trending is like the more optimal way of doing things. I feel like the arguments these people make, they're sort of misleading. They confuse people rather than make things like more clear for people. And they're just kind of ignorant. Like saying the dumbbell lateral raise is crap exercise and you should perform cables is all well and good. And I think the cable lateral raise is a good exercise. What if someone doesn't have a cable stack? Then what? So I just think these people just don't think of these things when they put this content out, and then it pisses me off. But in saying that, the dumbbell lateral raise is a fantastic exercise. You can go really heavy with the dumbbell lateral raise too. Now granted, I've been lifting for a long time. I feel like I've had my dumbbell lateral raise technique nailed down for years now, and I'm at a stage this year where I really progressed the movements and I got up as far as 25 kilos in each hand for a set of 8, and I've done that on 2 occasions. I'm at a point where I can comfortably do 17.5s to 20 kilograms for my lateral raise. And it just feels really good for me. I'm working my shoulders really hard. I wouldn't suggest starting off that way, but certainly don't set a limit on yourself. If we're aiming to progress and you're doing this right, you're doing this over a long period of time, there's no reason as to why you couldn't be lateral raising an extra 10 plus kilos this following year. There's no reason why you can't do that. If you do it safely, you do a good technique, and you train hard, you can probably get there with that exercise. And it's just a beautiful exercise for the shoulders. It's simple. All it takes is dumbbells. You can stand anywhere. It's convenient, and you can just go to town and smash. Last 2 exercises, we're on to our arm segment, bicep and tricep. Now, I would have liked to have added in more exercises here. However, at this point of the session, you're probably going to be spent. You know, it's towards the end of the session, you're going to be tired, and I want to bring up my arms, so I want to give my arms their due diligence. So I moved, instead of like putting in more arm work here, I left it at 1 bicep, 1 tricep, and that's why at the start of the next session, the leg session, I do arms at the start of that, which I will get into. But that's why there's only 2 arm exercises here. That might be plenty for you. Trust me when I say my arms are very stubborn for me. I have yet to meet someone whose arms don't respond as well to training like mine. Was quite unlucky in that department in terms of genetics. So if you do bicep, tricep, 3 to 4 sets, you do them correctly, you go hard. There's no reason why your arms shouldn't grow. With arm training this year as well, I have allowed myself to be a little bit looser with technique towards the end of a set. Now that's not to say I don't care about technique, I don't value technique. That's very silly to say that. Technique is the foundation. It's what you should be working on first and foremost at the start of any program. So I would put a huge emphasis on cleaning up your technique in the first 4 weeks of this exercise, so we can just build that nice foundation. And from there, we can start to train that little bit harder and push for more weights, push closer to failure. And we can do that knowing that we are doing that with the right technique. But that starts in the beginning. It's not something I don't want you to start training too hard, crash and burn early, and then have to come back and tidy technique up later. Let's tidy it up from the start. So for the arm exercises, tricep cable push down with a straight bar, phenomenal exercise. You can get a beautiful stretch at the top, and I find if you're not upright, if you push your ass back and lean over it, you'll get even more of a stretch on the triceps. And in terms of the movement, I found this is good because we're just moving from the elbow to the wrist joint is moving, but also sometimes I would allow my arms to lift a little bit and then go down. And I felt that gave a really nice stretch in the triceps. So messing around with that and see which one feels good for you. And then the incline dumbbell bicep curl. So here's a bench at 90 degrees. Here's the next incline down, that's 75. Here's the next one, 60. That's where I would place the bench when I'm curling. And I'm doing it on this day with a supinated grip. So sitting right back, getting a nice big stretch, if you can see that there, up and squeezing. Beautiful exercise because I just feel the bicep gets such a lovely stretch at the bottom. I'm a big fan of that exercise. My arms, a lot of my bicep growth, I credit to that exercise. It's been a phenomenal one to progress with. In terms of progressions, I think when I was in Canada, I have a photo of me incline curling 7.5 kilograms. That was like 3 years ago. And now I got to a stage where the most I've done is 25 kilograms in each hand for 3 reps. I'm kind of stuck there. I've tried that 3 weeks now and I can't get past it, but I will at some point. But I'm more so messing around with like 20 kilograms for 8 reps, 17.5 for 10, and then 15 for like a set of 12 plus. So again, don't set limits on what you think you can and can't lift just because it's an isolation exercise. People think you have to go light. Of course, with isolation movements, it's going to be obviously lighter than more compound movements, but still aim to progress them. Aim to progress everything. Don't be short-sighted and stick to the same weights all the time. It's a big mistake a lot of people make. If you want an exceptional physique, progress everything. Work everything really hard. That is it for upper day 1. Now we're on to upper day 2. So why I go upper day 1 and upper day 2 and not like upper legs upper, why I do that is because of my arm training. So I'm doing in this upper session, I'm doing arms at the end. And in my leg session, I'm also doing arms. So it wouldn't make sense for me to do the arms and leg session and then do my upper body session the next day because my arms are probably going to be a little bit fatigued from that arm session, which will interfere with my upper body session. Whereas I can do this session, the first upper one, on a Wednesday, and then I can wait Thursday, Friday, rest days, and then Saturday, it's time to train upper again. My upper muscles are recovered. So that's why I do it that way. You can do it any way you want, but that's the rationale behind why I was doing it that way. In terms of upper 2.
So let's go.
We have the bench press again, but this time I'm going with a closer grip. Now, I'm not going super close grip, tucked elbows, trying to work my triceps. I'm just going close. It's kind of like wider than shoulder width. For a lot of you, you might find that your triceps take over doing this. For me, it's never been the case. My chest works really hard. And if anything, it just increases the range of motion, which is less efficient for lifting heavy weight, but is extremely efficient for growing muscle tissue. So it's also going to be nice to have that switch up to go with a slightly closer grip on this day and lift with a slightly higher rep range compared to the first day, because it's going to just give you that little variation and you're kind of getting the best of both worlds. You're going wider, lifting with a lower rep range, day 1, day 2, closer grip, increased range of motion, more repetitions. It's going to be slightly better for muscle growth as well, but it's also going to help you improve your bench press overall. Next up, we have the neutral grip lat pull down. So unlike pull-ups, everybody is going to be able to perform this exercise, and I perform it with a neutral grip because I want that tucked elbow position to help bias my lats that little bit more. The neutral grip lat pull down with a kind of like a shoulder width grip. I really like that wider V-bar, not the bars that are too close. Now that might work for you, but this grip around here, that feels fantastic for me. I find with the bar, kind of because of how elongated it is, it tends to limit range of motion. If you're sitting very upright and you bring your arms up, the elbow position kind of stops here because it keeps hitting off the rack. So just when you grab the bar, lean back so you can get that full stretch and stay in this position as you're pulling the bar down to you. So you can just get that increased range of motion, that bigger stretch at the top. And I didn't say it with pull-ups for the first day, but with all your back movements, get that full stretch. Fully stretch those arms so you can stretch those back muscles. You don't want to be falling short because that adds up over time. You just want to really open up your back. It feels really good too. Next up, we have quite a unique exercise that was given to me by Tristan Jacobs, the guy who was overseeing my reps and sets for my benching this year. He gave me some accessory lifts, and this was one of them. It's a single arm cable chest fly with the elbow position up here. I'm guessing he gave me this movement because if we look at the bottom of a bench press, if I bring my arm from here to here, we're like in the bottom of this range. So maybe he wants me getting stronger and more comfortable in this position. That's my thinking behind why he's given it to me. But to be honest, it felt unbelievable, and I really felt it target my upper chest. Chest is something I'm very happy with in terms of my own chest development. But then I give this exercise to some of my male clients who want to grow their chests, and all of them have really loved this movement. It kind of acts like a dip as well. It's kind of like a similar movement to a dip, but I felt like it really hit my upper pecs. But I wasn't doing it for chest growth really. I was doing it because Tristan prescribed this to me to help me with my bench press. So I didn't really ask too many questions, but this is definitely a unique exercise that you might find you really enjoy. And I got a serious chest pump off it. It gets a really nice stretch in the movement. If you can have it one arm out front of you, grabbing onto something that will stabilize you, and that would be a little bit better because you can focus on the movement a little bit more, getting a nice stretch, getting a good squeeze, and hitting this with a lot of repetitions. The next exercise I was doing on this day was a seal row. Now, if you don't have this exact setup, just choose a different variation of a chest supported row. Something I'm messing with now that I will get into in a later video is the Helms row. Everybody has access to this, and that's the beauty of this exercise. All you need is a bench, incline it at 30 or 45 degrees, lie your chest on it, and you can use dumbbells to row. So just another variation of a chest supported row. I was going with the seal row. Love this setup. Again, it's going to really target the upper back musculature, and I just love I don't take this one too slow and controlled. I stretch, I open up the shoulder blades, and I rip. I want to pull as much load from the bottom as I possibly can. And as you can see, I've done a lot of back movements, not a lot, but 4 in total. But 3 out of those 4 movements, they're really biased towards the upper back, and it's no surprise that the upper back, mid-back muscles have really come on this year. With your back movements, it's not uncommon to see people going up and pausing in this squeeze position, doing a lat pull down, pausing in the squeeze position. That's fine. That might be something I do with like a beginner client in the beginning just to help them feel things a little bit more. But that will really limit you in the amount of weight you can lift. And if you're limited in the amount of weight you can lift, that means you're struggling to progressively overload over time and you're leaving gains on the table. We don't want that. So with that being said, don't worry about this holding a pause in the squeeze position of the movement. Typically, the most important part of most movements is the stretched position. So just get a full stretch and then rip, pull, and come back up here. That means you're going to be able to lift more weight. Because we're not pausing in the squeeze position, that means you're going to be able to lift and tolerate more weight from the stretch position on the pull, and you're going to get more bang for your buck doing that rather than lifting lighter and worrying about the squeeze in the bottom position. So don't worry about the squeeze at the top of a seal row. The magic is in that bottom to mid-range of movement. Next exercise is one that some people deem unsafe, but my middle name is Danger. Meet my friends, Dan and Jer. Is the behind the neck shoulder press. Now, if this feels too uncomfortable for you, very simply, just don't do it behind the back. Bring it in front of you and do it here. I was doing this because it was given to me by Tristan Jacobs. This was an exercise he wanted me to do that he felt would benefit my bench press. So that's why I was doing it. That being said, I've gotten really strong with this lift, and that might be the reason my shoulders have grown this year as well. Could have been that lift as opposed to the dumbbell shoulder press, or could have been doing both of them and get strong at both. So that's that exercise. After that then we're on to our shoulder accessories. So there's no arms in this session because we're doing them before our legs tomorrow. So we're doing the cable lateral raise, a fantastic exercise. And the fact that we're doing the shoulder, the dumbbell lateral raise and the cable lateral raise in the same program is brilliant, because the dumbbell lateral raise, why a lot of optimal zealots preach that this is a bad exercise and the cable ladder raise is a good exercise, because the cable ladder raise biases the lengthened, stretched position of the movement, which is very good. The dumbbell ladder raise biases the shortened position, so the top end range of the movement. So my brain just tells me to do both. And that's what I did in this program. If you're following this, that's what you'll do. And I just found I like both of them. There's no reason to pick one over the other. Let's not be silly gooses like some of these coaches out there. Coaches, some of them aren't even coaches. We'll get into that another day. Next exercise, quite unique, is the power raise. Again, this was given to me by TJ in the hopes of progressing my bench press. I'm guessing TJ just wanted my shoulder really strong from all angles and in all movements. And this would be considered a rear delt movement. Wow, this exercise, I love it. I found it amazing for the rear delt. You get a nice stretch. And plus it's done with a dumbbell, it's done on a bench, you can do it anywhere. Big fan of that exercise, and that's how I was ending that session. You're pretty much gassed by the end of that session. Like, that's what, 7 exercises again? If you do this right, you will be toast by the end of these lifts. Now we're on to our arms and leg sessions.
So let's go, I am the best.
So I want my arms to grow. I was only training 3 times a week, so it made sense for me to place them at the start of my leg session. Place them at the start because arms, even though you can go as hard as you want with them, they're not really a fatiguing muscle group to train. You're training muscles in isolation. There's no real systemic fatigue, so it's not like I'm going to train arms, do 4 exercises and then be tired going into legs. It never worked out that way. But if I did legs and then tried to do arms after, the arm training would really suffer, because you're pretty much, if you train legs right, you should be done afterwards. So that's why I started with arms. I started with 4 exercises. Those exercises were the single arm preacher curl. I did this a little bit different. You can perform it the normal way, but I found I really liked facing the opposite way of the preacher bench. I got a beautiful stretch at the bottom and it just felt really nice to me. The first 2 weeks of it didn't feel all that comfortable, but it's a new exercise. It's a new way of doing things. It's never going to feel that comfortable at the start. And I would usually keep the rep range a little bit lower. With this exercise, I would keep it on like the 8 to 10 side. Maybe the last set, I would increase the reps a little bit and lower the weight. I superset that with a tricep rope push down. Really liked the tricep rope push down. It was something I struggled with for years, but I think it was the way I was doing it. It didn't work for me. It might work for you. It works for a lot of people. But the way that's typically done, and you see a lot of people grabbing 2 ropes, is so they can really like get this stretch and bring the ropes out to here. That is biasing the short end range of the movement. So I actually found greater success, and I learned this from Jeffrey Verity Schofield, big fan of his this year, by using the small rope and keeping my hands together and just going for a little stretch at the bottom. What that does is we're now biasing the stretch position of the movement and the mid range of the movement as opposed to the end range of the movement. And the pump in the triceps is lovely. That's an exercise that I didn't think I would enjoy, but from doing it this year, doing it that way, I now love it. It's one of my favorite tricep builders. After that, we're on to incline curls again, except this time we're doing it with a hammer grip variation. So exact same as the setup before, but just this time now we're keeping it this grip. Keep the elbows locked back in place and just drive up the arm. The only thing that's moving is the elbow to wrist joint. After that, we have our skull crushers. Now, towards the later part of the year, I got rid of the skull crushers because I was getting some elbow tendonitis. That doesn't mean you're going to get elbow tendonitis. It's an exercise that felt unreal. I was getting really strong on it. And maybe the elbow tendonitis was not a result of the exercise, but the weights I was lifting. I got as heavy as 30 kilograms in each hand for that exercise. That's a lot of weight to be doing on that lift. And yeah, that was probably the reason as to why I was getting issues with my elbows. So I could probably do with just doing that exercise, but tone it down with the weight, maybe increasing the rep range. I don't know, but fantastic exercise, really good exercise. You start getting elbow issues, just switch it. Switch it for another overhead tricep variation. Try the big fan, I'm doing it now, but the overhead rope tricep extension, beautiful exercise. So if that doesn't work out for you, do that one instead. Now for legs, we're only doing 3 lifts. So some people are going to be really happy to hear that. Look, it's not, this program, we're not going to work everything to the best of its ability during this program. But I did find my legs grew, specifically my quads and my glutes grew, because even though they're 3 exercises, I went really hard. Now I'm someone who's been training a long time. I put a lot of effort into my training, and as you'll see here, as I'll show, the weights I'm lifting, they're crazy. They're very, very heavy. That's why my legs responded to the training I was doing this year, because I trained them very hard, I progressed them, I lifted very heavy. Just goes to show you don't need to do too much if the quality is there. So the first leg exercise, I started off with a lying leg curl. I was doing lying leg curl, but to be honest, if you have a really nice seated leg curl machine, I would go for that instead. Seated leg curl is a beautiful machine, unreal hamstring builder if you have a good one. A lot of them, they're not really made that well, designed that well, but if you have a good one, go for that. Otherwise, lying leg curl is absolutely fine. It's a great exercise as well. Next up was the Zercher squat. Now I did a full video on the Zercher squat talking about it. Love the movement, fantastic. If you're interested in it, I know it's unique by the looks of it, then go check out that video. This is an exercise I've gotten really strong with this year. I absolutely love it. I feel like it's hit my core. I feel like it's developed some of my mid to lower back a little bit as well. And it's been fantastic for my legs. I feel like my quads have grown, my glutes have grown. I didn't want them to. So that's a great exercise, and I would typically lift within I was doing 1 rep maxes with that this year, but I was typically lifting with a 4 to 8 rep range. 8 would be the maximum amount of reps I was going for with this lift. Then I would go to a hack squat. Now, a bit unusual going straight into from a Zercher squat to a hack squat, but the hack squat was, I didn't have to think about bracing or the position of my body anymore. It's a machine, so I could just squat my ass right down, get nice and deep, and just go to town on reps and weight, and just finish my quads off with a lot of weight and a lot of reps. So the first set, I would go very heavy and see what I could do. As you can see here, I think I got my hack squat up to, I think it was 220 kilos or 240 kilos, which is a lot of weight. And I was surprised myself that I was able to do that. But then the last set, the next set I would drop down and do more of a higher rep range, and the last set again would be the highest rep range. Could be anywhere from 12 to 15 reps, still lifting heavy, and really fatiguing the quads. And after doing those 3 exercises, my legs would be spent. So that's it, everybody. That's the program I've been following for the last year, and I've seen
great success.
Just because it's a 3-day workout plan, if you do quality sets, you put a lot of effort into it, you're lifting with good technique, you're progressing, you will see great results with any program you're following. This just happens to be the one I was following. I really liked it. It worked for me. But if you want to give this a go, I'm sure it will work for you if you apply everything I just said there. Different style of video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see a video like this again, let me know, and I will update you on my current training plan and what I'm doing and what I'm hoping to achieve from that plan. That's it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.